In this video, I'm going to be showing you some presets from the AP component series. That's a series of presets for the apC 40 that give you access to a variety of functionality. Alright, these presets run in MT Player, which is a Bomi's MIDI translator powered runtime. It's very reliable, and it basically just sits in the background between Live and the apC 40, adding a little more logic into the equation. Before I show you the individual presets, there's a few changes that are applied to all the presets. First of all, the mute switches, if you press them relatively quickly, they'll toggle mute on or off. If you hold them down, they'll turn into momentary switches. The same is true for the device on and off switch, and the bank select buttons will scroll if you hold them down. This preset gives you 4 modes for the clip launch section, and you switch between those with shift plus the first 4 clip stop buttons. Alright, so the first mode is the default mode where the clip launch buttons do their default thing, and the next mode is navigation mode. This gives you navigation and editing controls. On the right hand side you have Mac emulation, and these cursors over here can navigate in session view. The center button will launch clips or launch scenes. Alright, if you're in arrange view, these can navigate or zoom vertically, horizontally. Alright, these buttons out to the side can increase or decrease tempo by 1 BPM, and they'll also scroll if you hold them down. This button up here is for clip recording, and let me just show you how this works here. Let me go to track 4 and arm it. Alright, first of all, let me show you how recording clips normally works. You'd launch a clip, and then at some point you'd launch it again to tell Live to stop recording and start playing back. Alright, but that's kind of hard to do the second launch while you're recording something. So that's what this does. This will do the second launch for you. Alright, and it's compatible with any tempo, any count-in settings, and any time signature. These 3 controls control views, session and arrange view, clip and track view, and this will open and close the browser. Alright, these controls over here and all the controls up top are QWERTY and general controls. Up here you got copy, paste, duplicate, delete, and then undo and redo. Over here you got arrow keys, plus and minus, and then shift plus the plus and minus are page up and down. Alright, now these work differently depending on what's in focus, so that's what these buttons do. They select what's in focus. So you can focus like the main view, and that'll let you do stuff like expand or collapse track groups. Alright, then we can move over here to a clip, and then let me just switch over to clip view, and now I can move to clip and zoom in and out on a clip. Alright, I can move to the browser and navigate around in there. The next mode is drum rack mode, and this gives you a variety of controls for Live's drum rack. In the center you can control the visible pads. Alright, in the lower corners you have last pads, and the way those work is whichever pad you hit last gets assigned to them. Alright, and as you can see right now, they follow whichever pad you hit last, but if you want them just to lock to a specific pad, like this hi-hat here, just hit the lock button. And now you can move around, but it'll stay locked to that hi-hat. Alright, and this one has its own lock button. In the upper corners you have 2 cycle sequencers, and those let you record sequences of up to 8 notes and then play them back sequentially from one pad. So the way it works is you press shift plus one of them to get into recording mode, and while you're in recording mode, the clip stop buttons down here will indicate how many steps you've recorded. So I'll just record a few steps here. Alright, and to get out of the recording mode, you just press this button again, and then you'll start playing back. Alright, and you can add variations with the other pads. Alright, and you have 2 of those to work with, so you can have fills and different grooves and whatnot from each one of them. Alright, the buttons on the side here control the velocity for all the other buttons that I just showed you. So, alright, now drum rack mode also has an additional sub mode. You can get into that by pressing this button up here, and this is 16 levels mode. On this side you have the drum rack pads again. And these pads over here work kind of similar to the last pads. Whichever pad you hit last gets assigned over here. Alright, you can control it with 16 levels of velocity, or 16 levels of pitch, or both. Alright, and again, just like the last pads, whichever pad you hit last gets assigned over here, but you can also lock them to a specific pad. So if you want to just do the snare, lock it to the snare. The last mode is user mode, And in this mode, basically the 40 clip launch buttons are assignable to whatever you want in live. I have these first 4 buttons down here assigned to the mute switches on these return tracks. I just want to show you these are bidirectional, so if I make changes here in live, they're reflected on the apC as well. This preset gives you access to 4 modes for the track control section, and you could switch between those with shift plus the last 4 clip stop buttons. Alright, so the first mode is the default mode where the track controls do their default thing. The next mode is volume mode, and here the encoders control and display the volume for the 8 tracks in the bank. Alright, and this is compatible with banking, so it updates as you move between banks. The next mode is sends mode, and here the encoders control the first 8 sends on the selected track. So you select a track with the track select buttons, and then you can adjust the sends on it. Alright, up to 8 sends per track. The last mode is user mode, and here the buttons down here are assignable, and the encoders are also assignable. So for example, I have them assigned to position and length here. The 2 presets I just showed you can be combined into a single preset, so you have your clip launch modes over here, and then your track control modes over here. Alright, and these are independent, so that you could be like a navigation mode over here, and volume mode over here, or what have you. This preset combines 8 channels of apC 40 and VCM 600 functionality. It's basically meant for live use because, like I said, it's an 8-channel setup. You can't get out of those 8 channels. Alright, in terms of the controls, on the left-hand side, pretty much everything does its default function except for the master select button, which I'll explain in just a little while. Alright, the bank select buttons are also slightly different because, like I said, you can't bank left and right. So these will control tempo in 1 BPM increments. They'll scroll if you hold them down. And they also have a shifted function. Shift plus these buttons will let you navigate to your return tracks so that you can use the device control section to control devices on them. The track control section basically gives you a VCM channel strip. So you select the track you want to control with the track select buttons. Alright, and the parameters you have are cutoff and resonance for the last auto filter, operator, or analog that you have on a track. Now these work differently than the device control section. With this, you actually have to have a device selected in order to control it. That's not the case with these. Alright, you don't need to have them selected. Alright, so the next 2 controls you have are send A and B. On the bottom row here you have EQ low, mid, and high for either EQ3 or EQ8. Alright, if you're using EQ3, these buttons down here will function as kill switches. If you press them relatively quick, they'll toggle. If you hold them down, they'll be momentary switches. And lastly, you have volume. This last button down here is a snapshot button. So what you can do is you can come up with some default settings for your track and then store that, and then you could tweak away from those. Alright, turn some kills on, and then whenever you're ready again, restore your snapshot. By default, the device control section does its default function, but if you press the master select button, it can now control track parameters. So the way that works is the 8 buttons down here correspond to the 8 track encoder functions. So for example, if you want to control volume across all 8 tracks, press this button, and now you can control volume. Alright, if you wanted to control low EQ, press this button, and now you can control the low EQ across all your tracks.